Okay, good afternoon. My name is Judith, and I'm going to present a lesson on feeding in birds. And our objectives for the lessons are as follows. I'm expecting that by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to define the adaptation of birds to feeding. You'll be able to identify the 4 types of feeding mechanisms, and that you'll be able to state the characteristics of various mechanisms. So we are looking at adaptation to feeding in birds. Then we are saying that adaptation of birds, they depend on the type of beak or feet. In that the type of beak or feet that a beak has will determine the type of food they eat. And from there, we are going to see the 4 types of feeding mechanism in birds. We have birds that are filter feeders, the ones that feed on small insects. We have the grain feeders. We have the flesh feeders, and finally we are going to look at the nectar feeders. So we start with the filter feeders. We look at their adaptations. These are birds that feed on small insects in mud and in water. And the adaptations, we can see there, they have long and narrow pointed beaks. They also have serrated beaks that help them to be able to filter food from mud. And these birds, that is the filter feeders, they have stilt legs with elongated feet, and these are adaptations that help them to stay above the water. Some of them have webbed feet that enable them to swim easily as they look for their food. So we can see here, we have some example of the filter feeders there. You can watch and see. Those are some of the beaks of these birds that are adapted to filter feeding. Then the other type, we have the grain feeders. These ones, they are adapted to feeding on seeds and nuts. And their characteristic, as you can see, one is that they have short triangular shaped beaks. They help them to be able to crack the nuts or the seeds. And these beaks are strong and thick, as we have said, also to enable them to crack the seeds and nuts easily. Their other adaptation is that they have short feet. And also we have some few examples here of the grain feeders. Okay, you can see the short triangular shaped beak there. You can see the other one there. Those are the examples of the grain feeders. Then the other type we are going to look at, this is the flesh feeders. These flesh feeders, they feed on flesh. And the few adaptations we have here today are that they have strong and sharp hooked beaks. They also have very strong feet that help them with gripping, and these feet are called talons. You can see, I also have some examples there of the beaks of these flesh feeders. You can see the beaks, the way they are hooked there, so that they are able to tear flesh easily. And finally, we are going to look at the nectar feeders. This is the last group of the lesson that we have today. These are nectar feeders, and these ones are the birds that feed on nectar. You can see their characteristics or adaptations. They have long, thin, and slender beaks. These ones enable them to be able to suck the nectar from the flowers. They have beaks that may be curved so that they are able to fit the specific species of flowers. And the other feature of these birds is that they are very light, so that they can allow them to perch easily on the branches as they suck the nectar. You can see their examples there. They are able to perch, they are able to suck freely because they are light and they can easily stay in there. And the other one is that example there. So we are going to look at the work that is in your textbooks. Then you, from the examples that you've seen and the characteristics, you do the exercise that is there. And we will pick now from there in our subsequent lessons. That will be the end of our presentation. Thank you for your time.